Why do we delay the very things we know will change our lives? Why do we watch opportunities slip away while convincing ourselves we'll start tomorrow? And why do some people take bold action, while others stay stuck in endless cycles of planning and hesitation? The truth is, procrastination is not laziness. It's a mindset pattern. It's fear dressed as comfort, distraction, disguised as safety, and delay masquerading as preparation. But procrastination can be broken. Your mind can be trained to take immediate, decisive action. Your life can shift from waiting for the right time to creating it now. This audiobook, Beat Procrastination and Take Action Now, written and published by the Audiobook Library, will show you exactly how to do that. Step by step you'll the psychology of procrastination, the tools to overcome it, and the mindset that turns hesitation into unstoppable momentum. Your transformation begins the moment you decide to stop waiting and start acting. Chapter 1. Understanding the roots of procrastination. Before you can beat procrastination, you must understand it. Many people label themselves as lazy, but procrastination is rarely about laziness. It is about fear, avoidance, perfectionism, and comfort. It is the mind's way of protecting you, not helping you. Procrastination is the invisible thief of dreams. It steals not with force, but with delay. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, but tomorrow becomes next week, next month, next year, and eventually never. The psychology of procrastination. At its core, procrastination is an emotional regulation problem, not a time management problem. You avoid tasks, not because you don't have time, but because of how those tasks make you feel. Fear of failure. You delay because you're afraid you won't succeed. Perfectionism. You wait until conditions are perfect, which never arrives. Overwhelm. The task feels too big, so you avoid it entirely. Lack of clarity. When you don't know where to start, you don't start at all. Instant gratification. The brain prefers short-term rewards over long-term gains, making distractions more tempting than progress. Procrastination is your brain choosing temporary comfort over lasting achievement. The science of why we delay, neuroscience, shows procrastination is linked to the limbic system, the emotional center of the brain, overpowering the prefrontal cortex, the rational planning center. In other words, your feelings hijack your logic. You know you should write the report, exercise, or make that phone call, but the discomfort of starting outweighs the satisfaction of finishing. So you scroll, snack, or distract instead. How procrastination shapes your life. Lost opportunities, jobs not applied for, businesses not started, skills not learned, lower confidence. Each delay erodes trust in yourself, stress and guilt. The more you avoid, the heavier the mental weight becomes. Unfulfilled potential. Dreams never pursued stay as regrets. Procrastination doesn't just waste time, it wastes life. Common myths about procrastination. This may work short-term, but leads to burnout and missed opportunities. I just need more motivation. Motivation is unreliable. Action comes first. Motivation follows. Waiting for motivation is another form of procrastination. I'll start when I feel ready. Readiness is an illusion. No one feels ready. Those who act learn readiness by doing. Practical strategies to break the cycle. 1. Awareness audit. Spend 1 week tracking when and why you procrastinate. Write down what task you avoided, what excuse you gave yourself, what distraction you chose instead. Awareness is the first step to change. 2. Chunk the task. Break big tasks into the smallest possible step. Instead of write the book, Start with open a blank document. Instead of get fit, start with put on my running shoes. Small steps create momentum. 3. The 2-minute rule. If it takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. This bypasses hesitation and builds the habit of action. Forgive yourself. Studies show self-forgiveness reduces future procrastination. Don't dwell on wasted time. Release guilt and focus on the next action. Real-world example. Once they break it into 20-minute study sessions, procrastination fades. The entrepreneur puts off launching a product because it's not perfect. When they release a minimum viable product, progress replaces paralysis. The writer waits for inspiration. Instead, they commit to writing just 1 page daily. Action breeds momentum. Reflection questions. Passe. What tasks do you procrastinate on most often? What emotions or fears are you avoiding by delaying them? How would your life change if you acted today instead of waiting? Procrastination loses its power the moment you understand it is not who you are. It is simply a pattern your mind has learned, and what is learned can be unlearned. Chapter 2. Breaking free from the comfort trap. Procrastination thrives in comfort. The comfort of scrolling instead of starting. The comfort of staying busy without tackling what matters. The comfort of planning endlessly without executing. To beat procrastination, you must learn to step out of this trap. Comfort feels safe, but it silently kills potential. Growth and action live outside it. The comfort-discomfort equation. The brain is wired to avoid discomfort. It seeks pleasure, avoids pain, and conserves energy. That's why Netflix feels easier than working on your side business, and why snacking feels better than exercising. But here's the paradox. Avoiding discomfort creates long-term suffering. Facing discomfort creates long-term freedom. The procrastinator trades the pain of discipline for the pain of regret. The action taker chooses the discomfort of effort for the joy of progress. Thus, why we stay in the comfort trap. Fear of uncertainty. Action is unpredictable. Comfort feels safe. A identity conflict. You see yourself as someone who avoids hard things, so you keep doing it. Energy mismanagement. Lack of sleep, poor nutrition, and constant distraction drain willpower. The cost of comfort. Comfort seems harmless, but it's expensive. The comfort trap is not neutral. It's destructive. The science of action and momentum. Behavioral psychology proves that action comes before motivation. Waiting to feel ready keeps you stuck. Action triggers momentum, and momentum creates motivation. Think of pushing a heavy flywheel. At first, it's hard. You push, and it barely moves. But with consistent effort, momentum builds, and soon the wheel spins almost on its own. Procrastination is the resistance to start. Resilience is the willingness to push until momentum takes over. Strategies to break the comfort cycle. The 5-minute start rule. Commit to just 5 minutes of a task you've been avoiding. Once you start, resistance fades. 5 minutes of effort often turns into 50. 2. Redefine discomfort. Instead of fearing discomfort, reframe it as growth. The burn in the gym means your body is getting stronger. The awkwardness of a sales call means your business is expanding. The stress of learning means your brain is forming new connections. Discomfort is not danger. It is transformation. 3. Create a now habit ritual. Link immediate action with specific triggers. For example, when the alarm rings, get out of bed immediately. When you sit at your desk, open your work document first. When you feel the urge to delay, repeat, I act now. These micro habits condition your brain to act without hesitation. 4. The environment reset. Your surroundings shape your action. Replace passive entertainment with visible cues for action. Books, journal, task list. When the environment supports action, procrastination weakens. 5. Accountability systems. Share your goals with someone who will check in. External pressure can break the cycle. When internal willpower fades, coaches, mentors, or even peer groups amplify responsibility. Stories of comfort versus action. After applying the 5-minute rule, they wrote daily and finished in record time. The aspiring entrepreneur delayed launching a business out of fear. By creating a ritual of making one sales call every morning, momentum turned fear into progress. The athlete hated early training sessions. By shifting mindset, seeing discomfort as growth, they built discipline that translated into championship performance. The identity shift. From comfort seeker to action taker. Every action reinforces identity. Each time you procrastinate, you confirm I am someone who avoids. Each time you act, you affirm I am someone who does. Identity change is the secret weapon. Stop asking, how do I beat procrastination? And start declaring, I am not a procrastinator. I am a person who acts immediate. The moment procrastination no longer aligns with who you are, its grip weakens. Practical reflection. Questions. What comforts are keeping me stuck right now? What discomfort am I avoiding that could lead to growth? How can I use the 5-minute rule today to create momentum? Who can I share my goals with for accountability? Procrastination ends when you break free from comfort and embrace the discomfort that builds growth. Action is the cure, momentum is the reward, and identity is the foundation. Chapter 3. The Psychology of Delay. Understanding why we procrastinate. Procrastination is not just laziness. It is a psychological battle between your present self and your future self. Your present self seeks comfort, pleasure, and safety. Your future self seeks achievement, growth, and freedom. Each time you procrastinate, you sacrifice your future self for your present comfort. Understanding this conflict is the first step to mastering it. The inner tug of war, present versus future self. Neuroscientists explain procrastination as a clash between two brain regions. When procrastination wins, it's because the limbic system hijacks control. That's why scrolling feels easier than studying, or why sleeping in feels better than working out. This tug of war explains why you can want to succeed but still fail to act. The 6 root causes of procrastination. Subconsciously, they sabotage themselves to avoid higher expectation. We escape into distractions instead of breaking tasks into manageable parts. Procrastination thrives in exhaustion. The emotional layers of procrastination. Procrastination is rarely about the task itself. It's about the emotions attached to it. Anxiety about the outcome. Self-doubt about ability. Shame about past failures. Resentment toward obligation. By addressing the emotion, not just the task, you weaken procrastination at its root. The illusion of later. Procrastinators live with the lie of I'll do it later, but later is not real. It's a mental trick. Later feels safe because it postpones discomfort, but it silently piles up stress. Every time you delay, the mental weight grows heavier. Tasks don't disappear. They expand in your mind until they feel impossible. The cure is simple. Act now, no matter how small the step. Scientific insights. The procrastination loop. Psychologists have identified a procrastination cycle. You face a task, you feel discomfort, fear, boredom, overwhelm. You escape into distraction. Relief comes temporarily. Guilt and stress replace relief. Discomfort grows even larger. The cycle repeats. Breaking the loop requires disrupting step 3. Choosing action instead of escape. Reframing procrastination from enemy to teacher. Instead of hating yourself for procrastinating, ask, what is this teaching me? You must practice courage. Overwhelm. You must break tasks down. Perfectionism. You must embrace progress over perfection. Procrastination points to the exact skill you need to grow. It is not only an obstacle. It is a guide. Practical strategies to rewire the brain. The 2-minute rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. This trains the brain to default to action. 2. Chunking big tasks. Break overwhelming goals into tiny, actionable steps. Instead of write a book, start with write 1 paragraph. 3. Reward substitution. Link long-term goals with immediate rewards. For example, only listen to your favorite podcast while exercising. 4. Pre-commitment devices. Set up systems that lock you into action. Block distracting apps. Schedule deadlines with accountability partners. Use financial commitments, e.g., donate to a cause you dislike if you fail. 5. Emotional labeling. When you feel the urge to procrastinate, pause and label the emotion. I feel anxious. Naming it reduces its power. Real-life stories of transformation. The writer spent years waiting for inspiration, producing nothing. By using the 2-minute rule, committing to just 2 sentences daily, he wrote a full novel in a year. The student avoided studying due to overwhelm. Once she chunked her syllabus into 25-minute study blocks, she graduated with honors. The entrepreneur delayed launching his website out of fear of imperfection. By adopting progress over perfection, he released it, gained customers and improved along the way. Identity rewiring. From delayer to doer. To beat procrastination permanently, you must shift identity. Say to yourself, I am not a person who delays. I am a person who acts immediately. I do not wait for motivation. I create it through action. Each small action proves who I am becoming. The more you act, the more this identity strengthens. The more you delay, the more you reinforce the procrastinator identity. Reflection questions. Which root cause of procrastination affects me most? Fear, perfectionism, overwhelm, or lack of clarity? What emotion do I feel most often when I delay? And what is it teaching me? How can I break my next big task into the smallest possible step? What identity am I reinforcing with my actions today? Procrastination is not random weakness. It is a psychological pattern. By understanding it deeply, you gain the power to break it. Awareness dissolves the illusion, and action rebuilds your future. Chapter 4. Building the discipline of immediate action. Understanding procrastination is powerful, but understanding alone does not change a life. Action does. The true key is building the discipline of immediate action. The ability to move when the mind resists, and to create momentum when everything inside you says wait. Discipline is not about punishment. It is about freedom. It is the bridge between intention and achievement, and the more you practice it, the more automatic it becomes. The truth about discipline. Most people see discipline as harsh or restrictive. In reality, discipline is the ultimate form of self-respect. It is choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort. Think of it like this. Comfort without discipline creates regret. Discipline without comfort creates resilience. Balanced discipline creates freedom. The disciplined person is not chained. They are free, because they no longer live at the mercy of moods, excuses or fears. Why immediate action matters. Procrastination grows stronger with every delay. Each time you postpone a task, your brain wires the habit of avoidance. But each time you act immediately, you wire a different identity, that of a doer. Immediate action short-circuits procrastination. It bypasses the inner debate and moves you into flow. Consider the 5-second window. Neuroscientists have found that when you feel the impulse to act, you have only a few seconds before your brain starts generating excuses. If you hesitate, the mind convinces you to delay. If you move immediately, you create momentum before the excuses arrive. The 5 pillars of action discipline. 1. Clarity of purpose. Without clarity, discipline feels like torture. But when you know exactly why you're acting, discipline becomes fuel. Ask, what is the larger vision behind this task? Align small actions to meaningful goals. 2. Micro commitments. Big commitments overwhelm. Micro commitments empower. Write 1 sentence instead of planning an entire chapter. Do 2 push-ups instead of promising a full workout. Make 1 phone call instead of postponing an entire project. The brain responds to small wins by releasing dopamine, creating motivation for more. 3. Pre-decisions. Every decision consumes willpower. Reduce friction by deciding in advance. Lay out workout clothes the night before. Pre-plan meals for the week. A block calendar time for deep work. When the decision is already made, discipline becomes automatic. 4. Self-compassion with accountability. Discipline without compassion becomes burnout. Compassion without accountability becomes procrastination. True growth requires both. Apathy. Forgive yourself for past delays. Hold yourself accountable for present actions. 5. Environment design. Your environment shapes discipline more than willpower. Remove temptations. Delete distracting apps. Clean your workspace. Add triggers. Place your book on your desk. Set reminders for tasks. Surround yourself with people who act, not those who wait. The science of habit stacking. Habits grow stronger when linked together. This is called habit stacking. For example, after I pour my morning coffee, I will write 1 page. After I brush my teeth, I will stretch for 5 minutes. After I open my laptop, I will complete my most important task. By attaching new actions to existing routines, you eliminate resistance and build automatic discipline. Stories of immediate action. The athlete. A sprinter trained herself to start running the moment her alarm rang. No negotiation. She built a career not by talent alone, but by practicing the art of starting without hesitation. The entrepreneur. Instead of waiting for the perfect time to launch, he released his product in its rough form. The early version was imperfect, but feedback allowed him to improve. Acting now put him ahead of competitors who were still planning. The student. Every day she opened her textbook for just 2 minutes. Those 2 minutes grew into 2 hours of study, turning a failing grade into top scores. Each of these stories shares a common thread. Discipline began with a single act of immediacy. How to train your brain for action. Visualization of action. Instead of imagining success, visualize yourself taking the first step. The brain wires itself to replicate what it rehearses. A short burst of jumping jacks or power breathing can shift your brain into readiness. Deadline compression. Shorten deadlines artificially. Work in 25-minute Pomodoro sprints, treating each as urgent. The brain thrives under time pressure. Public accountability. Tell someone what you will do. The desire to remain consistent in their eyes fuels discipline. Identity shift. From hesitation to action taker. Every time you act immediately, you cast a vote for your new identity. You are no longer the person who delays, you are the one who moves. The transformation happens in repetition. Act once, you break a chain. Act once, you break a chain. Act daily. You build a habit. Act consistently. You embody discipline. Discipline is not about being harsh with yourself. It is about trusting yourself. And when you trust yourself to act without delay, confidence becomes unshakable. Reflection questions. What environment changes can I design to make action my default? What identity do I want to reinforce with my actions this week? Discipline is the great equalizer. Talent fades without it. Motivation wavers without, but discipline. The discipline of immediate action guarantees progress. Every time you resist delay and act now, you train your mind for freedom, power, and unstoppable growth. Chapter 5: Mastering Focus and Eliminating Distractions. If procrastination is the silent thief of time, distraction is its partner in crime. You may take the first step, but without focus, your progress scatters into fragments. The modern world is built to steal your attention. Notifications, endless feeds, entertainment on demand, all designed to hook your mind and keep you away from the work that matters. True transformation comes when you not only take action, but sustain that action with relentless focus. In this chapter we will explore the science of attention, the traps of distraction, and the practical systems to train your mind into laser-like concentration. The attention economy. Why your focus is under attack. Every ping, every vibration, every red notification bubble is not harmless. It's a psychological weapon. Companies compete not for your money first, but for your attention. Because where your attention goes, your time and energy follow. The average person now checks their phone over 100 times a day. Each interruption may seem small, but it fragments deep work into shallow bursts. Research shows it can take 23 minutes to regain focus after a single distraction. If you feel like you never have enough time, the truth may be this: your attention is being stolen, one notification at a time. The 3 levels of focus. Surface focus, checking emails, skimming headlines, casual multitasking, feels busy but produces little. Sustained focus, concentrated effort for 30-90 minutes on one task, produces meaningful progress. Deep focus, flow state, where distractions disappear, time vanishes, and productivity soars, produces breakthroughs. Most people live at level 1. Transformation comes when you train yourself to rise into level 2 and 3 consistently. Why we get distracted. The brain's dopamine trap. Distraction is not weakness. It is biology. The brain loves novelty, because novelty releases dopamine. That's why scrolling, clicking and checking feel addictive. The problem: these dopamine hits from distraction are short-lived and shallow, but meaningful work, the kind that shapes your future, requires long-term focus without constant reward. To master focus, you must retrain your brain to find satisfaction in progress, not in pings. Practical frameworks to build unbreakable focus. 1. The one thing rule. Ask, what is the one task that if done today will make everything else easier or irrelevant? Do that first, before anything else. 2. Time blocking. Schedule focus time as if it were a meeting. Protect it fiercely. No messages, no calls, no distractions. 3. Pomodoro sprinting. Work in 25 to 50-minute bursts with 5-minute breaks. Short sprints build momentum, prevent fatigue and create urgency. 4. Eliminate choice overload. Decision fatigue kills focus. Simplify. Wear simple outfits, like Steve Jobs. Plan meals in advance. Automate repetitive decisions. The fewer small decisions you make, the more focus you save for big ones. 4. Create sacred spaces. Your environment is either an ally or an enemy. Avoid mixing spaces. Don't work where you sleep or relax. The battle against digital distraction. Technology can be a servant or a master. To reclaim focus, turn off non-essential notifications. Use focus apps that block distractions during work. Keep your phone out of reach during deep focus sessions. One study showed students with phones on their desk, even when not using them, performed worse on tests than those with phones out of sight. Just the presence of distraction reduces brain power. The myth of multitasking. Multitasking feels productive, but science proves the opposite. Every switch between tasks burns mental energy and creates attention residue. Imagine pouring water into 10 cups versus 1. Focus is like water. The more you divide it, the less powerful it becomes. True progress requires single tasking. Stories of extreme focus. The inventor Thomas Edison was known for working in deep focus for hours, shutting out the world while perfecting his creation. His breakthroughs came not from multitasking, but from obsession. The athlete Michael Jordan trained with ruthless focus, eliminating distractions that didn't serve his game. His legendary success was built not just on talent, but on consistent, undivided attention. The entrepreneur, one startup founder, cut off social media for a year. The result? He built $1 million company while competitors wasted time chasing likes. These stories remind us, focus is a competitive advantage. In a distracted world, the focused individual becomes unstoppable. Training the muscle of focus. Focus is not fixed. It is a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes. Start with short sprints, 10-15 minutes. Gradually increase the length of deep focus session. Like lifting weights, your attention span grows with repetition. The role of energy in focus. You cannot focus if your body is drained. Energy management is focus management. Sleep 7-9 hours. Eat clean, energy-rich foods. Move daily. Exercise sharpens concentration. Stay hydrated. Dehydration reduces cognitive performance by up to 30%. Discipline without energy collapses. Protect your energy to protect your focus. The flow state. The ultimate weapon. When focus deepens enough, you enter flow. The state of total immersion where work feels effortless. In flow, the time disappears. Ideas connect seamlessly. Productivity skyrockets. Athletes call it the zone. Writers call it being carried by the words. Scientists call it optimal experience. The path to flow is simple. Remove distractions. Create challenge, and fully engage. Flow is the reward of focus, and once experienced, it becomes addictive in the best way. Reflection questions. What distraction steals the most of my time daily? How can I restructure my environment to eliminate or reduce it? What is my one thing that deserves my deepest focus today? When was the last time I experienced flow, and what conditions created it? Focus is not a gift. It is a discipline. In a noisy world, the ability to direct your mind is a superpower. Every distraction resisted is a victory. Every moment of sustained focus is an investment in your future, and every act of deep, undivided attention moves you closer to mastery, freedom, and unstoppable momentum. Chapter 6. Overcoming resistance and building unstoppable momentum. Taking action once is easy. Taking action daily is what transforms lives. The greatest challenge is not starting, it's continuing. Resistance shows up after the excitement fades. When discipline is tested and when progress feels slower than you imagined. Momentum is the antidote. Momentum carries you when motivation is low, when resistance whispers excuses, and when obstacles rise. Once you master momentum, procrastination has no chance against you. The nature of resistance. Resistance is not external. It lives inside the mind. It appears as excuses. I'll do it later. Distractions. I'll just check one message. Self-doubt. I'm not ready. Delay tactics. I need more research. Resistance is sneaky because it often disguises itself as logic. It convinces you that waiting is wise, that perfection is necessary, or that conditions must improve first. But resistance has one goal: to keep you still. Why resistance feels stronger than action. The brain is wired for energy conservation. Anything that feels uncertain, uncomfortable, or difficult triggers avoidance. Resistance is a survival instinct misapplied. It protects you from imagined threats, not real ones. The paradox is this: action is often easier than resistance. Writing one sentence is easier than fighting the guilt of not writing. Exercising for 5 minutes is easier than living with regret. Resistance drains energy, while action creates it. Momentum, the hidden force of achievement. Momentum is progress multiplied. It is the compounding effect of consistent action over time. Once momentum builds, tasks that once felt impossible now feel natural. Think of a train. At rest, it takes enormous force to move. Once rolling, it crushes obstacles in its path. Your habits work the same way. The hardest part is the beginning. After that, momentum carries you forward. The physics of action. Newton's law of motion. In physics, Newton's first law states, an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion unless acted upon by an external force. This is the law of procrastination and momentum. If you are still, resistance keeps you still, but once you move, momentum keeps you moving. The secret is to break inertia with small actions that build speed. 5 strategies to break resistance and build momentum. 1. Shrink the starting point. When resistance is strong, lower the barrier. Spend 2 minutes on the task. Small beginnings weaken resistance and activate momentum. 2. Stack wins early in the day. Start your morning with quick wins. Make your bed. Drink water. Complete one meaningful task. Early victories fuel momentum for the rest of the day. Use rituals and triggers. Create cues that signal it's time to act. Lighting a candle before writing. Playing a specific playlist before workouts. Sitting at a particular desk only for deep work. Rituals bypass resistance and condition the mind for action. Celebrate progress, not perfection. Every step forward counts. Each small success strengthens the identity of a doer. Progress fuels momentum more than flawless execution. 5. Build chains of consistency. Track daily action. Mark a calendar every time you complete a task. Over time, you'll build a chain you won't want to break. Momentum thrives on consistency. The role of energy in momentum. Momentum is not only mental, it's physical. A tired body cannot sustain consistent action. To protect momentum, to prioritize sleep, eat nutrient-rich foods, move daily to energize your body. Manage stress with mindfulness or breathing. Energy is the fuel of momentum. Without it, resistance regains power. Stories of momentum in action. The artist. A painter struggled for years with procrastination. He began with 5 minutes of painting each morning. Within months, 5 minutes became hours. His momentum carried him to completing entire collections. The runner. A woman who hated running committed to running for just 60 seconds daily. Over time, she built momentum into 5K races, then marathons. Her identity shifted from "I'm not a runner" to "I am unstoppable." The entrepreneur. A business owner launched small, imperfect offers. Instead of waiting for perfection, each step created feedback and growth. Momentum turned his small idea into a thriving company. These stories remind us, success is rarely explosive. It is built through consistent, compounding action. Psychological anchors that sustain momentum. 1. Identity anchoring. Tell yourself, "I am a person who acts consistent." This belief guides behavior. 2. Future visualization. See your future self benefiting from today's actions. Link present effort to future rewards. 3. Public commitment. Share your goals with others. Accountability strengthens momentum. When willpower weakens, emotional anchoring. Attach positive feelings to action. Gratitude, pride, confidence. The brain repeats what feels rewarding. Momentum in the face of setbacks. Resistance will return. Setbacks are inevitable. But momentum does not require perfection. Missing one day does not break momentum. It is the habit of restarting that keeps it alive. Think of a river. Rocks may block its flow, but the current finds a way around. Likewise, when obstacles appear, momentum adapts instead of stopping. Reflection. Questions. Where in my life am I letting resistance control me? What is one small action I can take today to shrink resistance? What ritual or trigger can I design to move into action immediately? How can I protect my energy to keep momentum alive? What identity am I reinforcing with my consistent actions? Momentum is not magic. It is the reward of persistence. Resistance whispers for you to stop, but action creates motion, and motion, sustained, becomes unstoppable momentum. When you learn to ride this force, procrastination loses its grip. You no longer push against life. You are carried forward by it. Chapter 7. Mastering Self-Discipline and Creating Systems for Consistent Action. Motivation comes and goes. Energy rises and falls. Inspiration may ignite you for a day, but vanish tomorrow. What separates those who succeed from those who remain stuck is not motivation. It is discipline. Discipline is the ability to act in alignment with your long-term goals, even when you don't feel like it. And when discipline is paired with system structures that make action easier and procrastination harder, you create consistency. Consistency is the true engine of success. The myth of willpower. Many people believe success depends on willpower, but willpower is like a muscle. It fatigues. The more decisions you force yourself to make, the weaker your willpower becomes. This is why at night, after a long day of choices, people binge-watch, overeat, or scroll endlessly. Their willpower is exhausted. The solution is not to rely on willpower. It is to design systems where action becomes automatic, requiring little thought or struggle. The 3 levels of discipline. Internal discipline. The personal ability to act despite resistance. This is mental toughness. External discipline. The accountability created by others, deadlines or consequences. This is structure. Systemic discipline. The environment and routines that make the right action the default. This is automation. The strongest individuals build all 3. Why systems beat motivation. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, explains, you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. A system is simply a repeatable process that guides your behavior. Examples: a work process that eliminates decision-making. A budgeting plan that automates savings. Systems free your brain from constant decision fatigue. They make good choices automatic. The core principles of self-discipline. Know your why. Without purpose, discipline feels like punishment. With purpose, it feels like power. Ask, why does this matter? Who am I becoming through this? Delay gratification. The marshmallow test showed children who delayed gratification for future rewards achieved more success later in life. Train yourself to choose long-term gains over short-term pleasure. 3. Consistency over intensity. One workout doesn't make you fit. One day of deep work doesn't create mastery. Discipline is built on steady, repeated actions, not rare bursts of intensity. 4. Self-respect through action. Every disciplined act reinforces self-trust. Each time you follow through, You prove to yourself that your word matters. This builds confidence that fuels even greater discipline. How to build systems that eliminate procrastination. Environment design. Keep healthy foods visible. Junk food hidden. Place books on your desk. Hide your phone. Organize your workspace to signal productive. Automation. Set bills to auto-pay. Set bills to auto-pay. Set your workouts at the same time daily. Use apps that block distractions automatically during work hours. Ritualization. Tie actions to existing habits. For example, after I brush my teeth, I meditate for 5 minutes. Rituals reduce resistance because they become automatic sequences. Accountability systems. Accountability systems. Share goals publicly. Work with a coach or partner. Use financial stakes. Pay money if you don't follow through. The role of self-discipline. In identity. Every act of discipline shapes who you are becoming. If you discipline yourself to write daily, you don't just become productive, you become a writer. If you discipline yourself to exercise, you don't just build strength, you become an athlete. Discipline is not just about tasks, it's about identity creation. This discipline is not about punishment, it's about preparing them to act under pressure, without hesitation. The scientist, Marie Curie, dedicated years to painstaking experiments, often working in dangerous conditions. Her discipline and systemized methods led to groundbreaking discoveries in science. The entrepreneur, Elon Musk, is known for his relentless work discipline, scheduling his days in 5-minute blocks to maximize focus. His systems of productivity allow him to run multiple companies at once. Discipline may not look glamorous, but behind every success story is someone who mastered consistency. The science of habit automation. Neuroscience shows that habits are stored in the basal ganglia, a part of the brain that conserves energy by automating repeated action. Once a habit forms, the brain requires little effort to execute it. This is why brushing your teeth feels effortless, but also why negative habits like scrolling endlessly are so hard to break. To build discipline, you must harness this system consciously. Start small, repeat consistently. To triggers. Reward progress to reinforce behavior. Over time, discipline becomes your default. How to overcome discipline fatigue. Even disciplined people struggle sometimes. To overcome fatigue. Rest strategically. Schedule downtime so energy replenishes. Use batching. Group similar tasks to reduce mental switching. Simplify decisions. Create routines that remove daily choices. Leverage accountability. Let external systems support you when willpower weakens. Reflection questions. Where in my life am I relying too heavily on willpower instead of systems? What environment change could make discipline easier for me? Which small discipline repeated daily would most transform my life? What rituals can I design to reduce resistance and build momentum automatically? Self-discipline is not about punishment. It is about freedom. Systems are not restrictions. They are shortcuts to success. When you master both, procrastination fades, action becomes natural, and consistency transforms your future. Discipline, paired with systems, is the art of living with intention. And those who master it, create lives that others call lucky, when in truth it was not luck at all. It was structure, choice and commitment repeated daily. Chapter 8. Overcoming fear, doubt and perfectionism. Procrastination is rarely about laziness. More often, it is a mask for fear, doubt and perfectionism. People hesitate not because they cannot act, but because their mind convinces them that action is dangerous, uncertain, or destined to fail. If procrastination is the symptom, fear, Doubt and perfectionism are the roots. To beat procrastination permanently, you must address these deeper causes. The nature of fear, inaction. Fear has protected humans for thousands of years. It kept our ancestors alive in the wild, but in the modern world, fear often misfires. Instead of saving us from predators, it stops us from making a phone call, writing a proposal, or speaking up in a meeting. Fear whispers, "You'll embarrass yourself. You'll fail. You're not ready." The truth, most of the things we fear are not life-threatening. They are ego-threatening. They challenge our comfort, not our survival. And when fear dictates our decisions, we end up stuck in inaction, watching opportunities slip away. The psychology of doubt. Doubt is fear's cousin. While fear says don't act, it's dangerous. Doubt says don't act, you're not capable. It shows up as doubt shrinks your confidence and convinces you to delay until you feel ready. But readiness never comes. Growth always requires stepping into the unknown. Perfectionism. The silent trap. Perfectionism disguises itself as high standards, but in reality, it's fear of judgment. It tells you, if it's not perfect, don't release it. If I can't gain success, why start? Perfectionism kills progress, because progress requires imperfection. Mastery only comes from repeated, imperfect practice. Think of an artist. Their early sketches are messy. A writer, their first drafts are terrible. An entrepreneur, their first business often fails. But the perfectionist never gets past the first sketch, the first draft, the first idea. They stay trapped in planning, polishing and delaying, never moving forward. The fear-action cycle. Here's a truth that can change your life. Fear does not go away before action. Fear goes away through action. When you act despite fear, your brain learns, this wasn't as dangerous as I thought. Each action rewires your mind, shrinking fear and growing confidence. Action creates evidence, and evidence destroys fear. Strategies to overcome fear. Name the fear. Write it down. Is it fear of failure, rejection, embarrassment? Naming the fear makes it smaller. Visualize worst case and best case. Ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? Most times the worst is tolerable, and the best is life-changing. Exposure therapy for goals. Just as psychologists expose patients to small doses of fear, you can expose yourself to small risks daily. Start small. Build tolerance. Grow stronger. Reframe failure. Failure is not the end. It's feedback. Every mistake is data that guides your next step. Strategies to overcome doubt. Borrow confidence. If you don't yet believe in yourself, borrow belief from mentors, role models, or supportive communities. Let their faith fuel your first steps. Look at evidence. Review past wins. Doubt thrives on ignoring your strengths. Remind yourself of what you've already overcome. Act before you're ready. Readiness is an illusion. If you wait until you feel ready, you'll wait forever. Take messy action now. Micro commitments. Instead of saying I must finish everything, commit to just 5 minutes. Starting reduces doubt because action proves capability. Strategies to overcome perfectionism. Redefine success. Success is not perfection. It's progress. Each imperfect action is a win. Set time limits. Perfectionists endlessly polish. Use deadlines to force release. For example, I will send this email in 30 minutes. No matter what. Embrace the ugly first draft. Writers, coders, designers. Everyone starts with rough work. The goal is not perfection, but iteration. Celebrate completion. Done is better than perfect. Each completed action builds momentum, while unfinished perfect work keeps you stagnant. Real-life examples of breaking free. Thomas Edison. He made over 1,000 failed attempts before inventing the light bulb. If perfectionism had stopped him, we'd live in darkness. Oprah Winfrey, she faced rejection and doubt early in her career, but persisted, using action to prove herself. Steve Jobs, his early prototypes were crude, but he launched, learned and iterated. Apple's success came from progress, not perfection. These stories remind us, success favors those who act, not those who wait for perfection. The science behind fear and perfectionism. Neuroscience shows that fear originates in the amygdala, the brain's alarm system. When triggered, it overrides rational thought, but repeated exposure and action rewire the brain, teaching it to stay calm in similar situations. Perfectionism, meanwhile, is linked to anxiety and fear of social rejection. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, teaches patients to challenge irrational thoughts, like "it must be perfect," or "I'll fail." The same principle applies to everyday action. Your brain is plastic. It rewires with repetition. Each time you act despite fear or doubt, you train your brain for courage. Practical exercises. Fear listing. Write 10 fears holding you back. Rank them. Confront the smallest one today. Daily imperfection challenge. Do one thing imperfectly on purpose. Post a raw video. Share an unpolished idea. Publish a rough draft. Train yourself to value progress over perfection. Doubt journal. Every time you act despite doubt, record it. Over weeks you'll build proof that you are capable. Visualization drill. Each morning, visualize yourself taking bold action calmly. Mental rehearsal reduces fear response. Reflection questions. How often do I let perfectionism keep me from finishing? If I acted today, even imperfectly, what could change in my future? Fear, doubt and perfectionism are not signals to stop. They are signs you are growing. Behind them lies the life you want. Each time you act despite them, you unlock courage, clarity, and momentum. The difference between a life of regret and a life of fulfillment is simple. Do you let fear win? Or do you act anyway? When you overcome these three enemies, procrastination loses its strongest allies and action becomes your natural state. Chapter 9. Building Momentum and the Power of Daily Action. Momentum is one of the most underestimated forces in personal growth. People think success is about talent, luck, or intelligence. But in reality, success belongs to those who take consistent action and build unstoppable momentum. Procrastination thrives in stillness. Action thrives in motion. The first step is always the hardest, but once you start, energy multiplies, and what felt impossible becomes inevitable. If you can master the art of daily action, no matter how small, you will create a self-sustaining engine of progress that pulls you forward even on the days when motivation is gone. The physics of progress. Newton's first law states, an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion, unless acted upon by an outside force. Human behavior follows the same law. If you stay at rest, procrastinating, delaying, hesitating, you will remain stuck. If you move, making calls, writing words, taking steps, you naturally keep moving. This is why momentum is so powerful. Once you get started, it becomes harder to stop than to continue. Why momentum matters more than motivation. Motivation is emotional. It comes and goes like the weather. If you wait for motivation, you'll waste years waiting. Momentum, however, is mechanical. It does not depend on feelings. It depends on repetition. Think of a train. At first, it takes massive energy to move a stationary train. But once it's moving, it glides effortlessly. Your habits work the same way. Getting started is difficult, but once in motion, progress becomes easier than quitting. Daily action. The compounding effect. Success is rarely the result of one grand event. It is the accumulation of thousands of small actions over time. Writing one page daily produces a book in a year. Saving a small percentage daily builds wealth over decades. Exercising for 30 minutes a day reshapes your health. Each action compounds. Like compound interest in finance, daily habits accumulate into extraordinary results. The psychology of micro wins. One reason people procrastinate is they aim too big too soon. They want to overhaul their entire life overnight. But this creates overwhelm, which leads to paralysis. The solution: focus on micro wins. Micro wins are small, achievable actions that build confidence and momentum. Each win is proof to your brain: I can do this. Examples: instead of running 5 miles, put on your running shoes and walk for 5 minutes. Instead of writing a chapter, write 1 sentence. Instead of organizing the whole house, clean 1 drawer. Small wins create progress loops that fuel motivation naturally. The 2-minute rule for overcoming resistance. Procrastination thrives on resistance. The longer you delay, the bigger tasks feel. The 2-minute rule dissolves this barrier. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it now. And for bigger tasks, start the first 2 minutes. Want to write 1 sentence. Want to exercise, do 2 push-ups. Want to read 1 page. Most times 2 minutes of action turns into 30 minutes of momentum. They identity shift through daily action. Every action is a vote for the person you are becoming. When you work out, you're voting for the identity of an athlete. When you write, you're voting for the identity of a writer. When you save money, you're voting for the identity of a financially disciplined person. Momentum is not just about tasks. It's about identity transformation. The role of rituals in sustaining momentum. Rituals anchor your day and make action automatic. Morning rituals set the tone for productivity. Evening rituals prepare you for rest and recovery. Pre-performance rituals, like athletes warming up, prime your mind for peak execution. Rituals remove the need for constant decision-making and preserve energy for what truly matters. Stories of momentum in action. The growing chain of X's created momentum. He didn't want to break it. Benjamin Franklin. He designed his day with a strict structure, asking every morning, "What good shall I do today?" and every night, "What good have I done today?" This ritual created decades of consistent progress. Serena Williams. Her success was built on years of relentless practice, small, repeated actions that compounded into mastery. None of these relied on bursts of motivation. They relied on momentum built through consistent action. Practical systems to create daily momentum. Habit stacking. Link new actions to existing habits. Example: after I brush my teeth, I will meditate for 5 minutes. Implementation intentions. Be specific. At 7 a.m. I will jog for 20 minutes in the park. Tracking progress. Use journals, apps or calendars to record daily actions. Visible progress builds motivation. Celebration of small wins. Reward yourself for completion. Even with something simple like a smile, a checkmark or a short break. Rewards reinforce habits. Momentum killers to avoid. All or nothing thinking. Missing one day does not erase progress. Restart immediately. Multitasking. Momentum builds from focus. Spreading your energy weakens results. Unrealistic expectations. If you expect massive results instantly, you'll quit before momentum compounds. Negative environments. Surroundings that encourage distraction destroy momentum. The neuroscience of momentum. Each time you complete a task, your brain releases dopamine, a neurotransmitter linked to reward and motivation. This creates a loop: action, dopamine, motivation, more action. The more often you complete tasks, the more your brain associates progress with pleasure. This rewires your brain to crave productivity over procrastination. Exercises to build unstoppable momentum. Momentum journal. At the end of each day, write 3 actions you complete. Focus on progress, not perfection. The 10-minute sprint. Pick one task and work on it with full focus for 10 minutes. Most times you'll continue far longer. The momentum morning. Start each day with a small, quick win. Make your bed, drink water. Success first thing in the morning creates momentum for the rest of the day. Weekly momentum review. Every week, reflect, what actions kept me moving forward, what slowed me down. Adjust for stronger momentum next week. Reflections questions. Where in my life am I delaying because I'm waiting for motivation instead of creating momentum? What small daily action could, if compounded, completely transform my future? How can I design rituals that carry me forward, even when my willpower fades? What would my life look like if I committed to daily action for 1 year, without breaking the chain? Momentum is the bridge between intention and achievement. It is the force that carries you past resistance, turns habits into identity, and transforms effort into results. Those who build momentum through daily action don't just succeed, they create lives where progress feels natural, inevitable, and unstoppable. Chapter 10. Creating a life system that destroys procrastination forever. Procrastination is not just a habit. It's an entire ecosystem of thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that feed on each other. To eliminate it permanently, you must build a stronger ecosystem. One where discipline, momentum, purpose, and structure work together to make procrastination powerless. This chapter is about creating a system so complete, so aligned with who you want to become, that action becomes inevitable. Why systems outlast motivation. Motivation is unreliable. Habits help, but even habits can fade under pressure. Systems, however, are resilient. They work even when you don't feel like it. A system is not a single tool or trick. It is a network of habits, environments, beliefs, and routines that support your success. When you create the right system, action is automatic, and procrastination withers away. Think of it like gardening. You don't fight weeds one by one forever. You cultivate the soil so rich, so well kept, that weeds cannot survive. The 4 pillars of an anti-procrastination life. To destroy procrastination permanently, you must strengthen these 4 pillars. Clarity. Know exactly what matters and why. Structure. Build environments and routines that push you toward action. Identity. See yourself as the kind of person who takes action. Energy. Maintain physical and mental vitality to sustain progress. Let's dive into each one deeply. 1. Clarity. Defining your life's direction. Procrastination often hides behind confusion. When you don't know what matters most, your brain chooses comfort over uncertainty. Clarity eliminates hesitation. It gives you a compass that makes decisions automatic. How to build clarity. Clarity. Write a North Star vision. What kind of life do you want 10 years from now? Define your big 3 priorities. The 3 things that matter most this year. Break them into quarterly goals. Concrete, measurable outcomes for the next 90 days. Use a daily action list. 3 essential tasks every day that move you closer to your goals. Clarity is the antidote to wasted motion. When you know exactly where you're going, procrastination has no place to hide. 2. Structure. Designing environments for action. Even the strongest willpower can be defeated by a poor environment. The reverse is also true. A supportive environment can make discipline effortless. Environmental design. Use friction wisely. Make bad habits harder. Lock snacks away, and good habits easier. Set tools in place. Routine engineering. Morning routines. Start with rituals that energize you. Deep work blocks. Protect 90-minute windows of focused work daily. Evening shutdowns. Create closure rituals that prepare you for rest and renewal. Structure creates consistency. It builds rails that carry you forward even on days when your mind resists. 3. Identity. Becoming the person who acts. You cannot outwork your self-image. If you see yourself as lazy, undisciplined, or unworthy, you will sabotage progress. The deepest way to destroy procrastination is to shift identity. Instead of asking, "How can I stop procrastinating?" ask, "Who do I want to become?" Identity shifts that eliminate delay. Day. From I'm trying to write, I am a writer. From I'm trying to exercise, I am an athlete. From I'm trying to save money, I am financially disciplined. Each action reinforces identity. The more you act, the stronger the identity becomes, until it feels unnatural not to follow through. 3. Energy. Fueling your system. Procrastination thrives on exhaustion. When your body and brain are depleted, it is easier to scroll endlessly than to create or build. Energy management is a hidden weapon against procrastination. How to sustain energy. Sleep. Prioritize 7-8 hours of quality rest. Nutrition. Eat whole foods that stabilize energy, not sugar spikes that crash your focus. Movement. Exercise daily to sharpen both mind and body. Recovery. Schedule breaks, walks and silence to recharge. High energy makes action feel natural. Low energy makes procrastination inevitable. The compound effect of systems. When clarity, structure, identity and energy align, procrastination collapses. Each pillar reinforces the others. Day. Clarity directs your energy. Structure channels your habits. Identity drives consistent action. They don't fight procrastination. Moment by moment, they build systems that leave procrastination no oxygen to survive. Case studies. Systems in action. Warren Buffett. His clarity came from saying no to almost everything. His structure came from routines of reading and analysis. His identity is that of an investor, not a gambler. His energy is preserved by avoiding unnecessary stress. Day. J.K. Rowling. She wrote the first Harry Potter in cafes while broke, because her structure was simple. Write daily. Her identity, I am a writer, kept her consistent despite rejection. Michael Phelps. His Olympic success was built on a rigid system of training, diet, sleep and visualization. By race day, his system carried him to victory, before the competition even began. These are not superhumans. They are individuals who mastered systems. Tactical blueprint. Building your anti-procrastination life. Vision and goals. Write your 10-year vision. Daily ritual. Build accountability into your environment. Identity reinforcement. Start small actions that prove who you want to become. Affirm and act until it feels natural. Environmental design. Remove distraction. This blueprint doesn't just fight procrastination. It erases it from your lifestyle. Exercises. For integration. 1 habit keystone. Identify one habit that improves multiple areas, e.g. exercise boosts health, energy and focus. Commit to it daily. Identity anchor. Write down I am the kind of person who, and finish the sentence for the identity you want. Weekly reset. Each Sunday, review your week, refine your system, adjust your routines, and restart strong. Date reflection. Question. This. What would my life look like if I designed it so procrastination had no room to exist? Which of the 4 pillars, clarity, structure, identity, energy, needs the most strengthening right now? How can I create systems that continue working even when I feel unmotivated? If my actions became automatic, consistent and aligned with my purpose, what future would I unlock? Procrastination is not beaten with a single burst of energy. It is beaten with a system, a life designed for purpose, powered by clarity, sustained by discipline, and reinforced by identity. When you live by such a system, success stops being an occasional achievement and becomes your natural state. Action becomes who you are, not what you struggle to do. This is the art of destroying procrastination forever and stepping fully into the life you were meant to build.